you might be thinking about quitting that job. And when I say quitting that job, I'm saying, whoa, Kimosabi.
Why, you Kimosabi.
Before we get all crazy, take a deep breath and answer the next 4 questions yes before you make the leap to the next level. Hey there, my loves. Welcome back to my channel and CPTV, the place where aspiring and current entrepreneurs can get the tips, the tools, the strategies, and the roadmaps to turn their passions into businesses and their businesses into freedom. If that sounds like you, then you are going to want to like and subscribe to this channel, because every Tuesday and every Friday, I am dropping the golden nuggets to help you get there, based off of my over 20 years experience starting and growing 6- and 7-figure businesses. So welcome. I am Cheryl Perez, or CP, which is what I like most of you guys out there to call me. And today we are actually talking about that all important moment when you are trying to figure out if you should take your side hustle to the next level, right? You might be thinking about quitting that job. And when I say quitting that job, I'm saying, whoa, Kimosabi.
Why, you Kimosabi.
Before we get all crazy, take a deep breath and answer the next 4 questions yes before you make the leap to the next level. Question number 1 that I had to ask myself, and that I recommend you ask yourself, and once you get to the yes, then you might consider, all right, this is 5 more points towards why I should actually be ready to quit this job. And that question is, do you have the skills or the product or the service that people actually want? Now, that means that they want it, that it is solving a pain for them, that they need it, that they're willing to pay for it, and that they're ultimately going to get value out of it. If you really truly have done your research, you'll be able to answer that question. If you haven't done your research yet, then it still may be a big I don't know in your head. And that's okay. I'm just saying, if it's still an I don't know and you don't know whether or not what you are ultimately going to be basing your business around, that product or service, is something that people actually want, then I would say, hold on, don't make that leap yet. You're not quite ready to take it to the next level until you're able to answer that question definitively and confidently, yes. And that brings me to question number 2, which is, have you done enough research? Starting a business and launching a product or a service will come with a ton of headaches and heartbreak if you don't do the necessary research in advance. It's one of the biggest mistakes that I see clients that are in my coaching courses, in my coaching programs, or in my online courses make. They are excited and passionate about a particular idea, and they just jump full-fledged and say, I'm just going to go ahead and launch it. But they have no idea if it's actually going to be viable. And then when they're not seeing the sales that they want, or the engagement that they want, or getting the actual money that they want, they begin to feel less confident. They begin to want to give up. They lose their level of commitment and their discipline towards their business. And a lot of that doesn't have to do with them personally, but it becomes a personal reflection. I know for me, when I picked products and services without doing the necessary research first, it was very, very daunting, and it was very disappointing. And I didn't really realize that it wasn't really me. It was the fact that I didn't do enough research to make sure that I was solidified in what I was offering. And so research is very, very important in determining whether or not you should make that leap. Once you've done the research, you're going to build the confidence. You're going to learn a lot about what you're doing. And that confidence is half the battle when you're actually making that leap to quit that 9-to-5 and move forward with taking your side hustle to the next level. Now, if you need help researching all the stuff about your side hustle and its viability, I am going to give you an amazing free tool. And this is my From Side Hustle to Entrepreneurial Freedom Workbook. It is just a work of love. And I'm giving it to you for free. It's 30 pages of actual worksheets, exercises, and thought-provoking things that you need to do that I recommend before you actually seriously take your side hustle to that next level. And I'm going to give you a link to this free resource down below. So go ahead and click the link, grab your workbook. And it's going to actually help you work through some of those details and actually give you some tips and some insider stuff on how to do the research. But I don't want you to get caught up in number 2, right? Don't spend a lot of time. It is so easy to get in this, hole of research, which I have totally done because I am a avid learner. I believe in learning. I believe that to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to always be learning, but sometimes I can use it as an excuse in order to not move forward. So it actually paralyzes me. I'm one of those people that will become completely obsessed with learning. And so that's important in research, but don't get stuck at that level. Do your research. Get your confidence, check out your competitors, check out what your customers want, and make sure that your service or product is going to ultimately meet their needs. So number 3, your question that you need to be able to answer yes to is, are you comfortable going solo in your marketing efforts? And when I say that, I mean solo. Marketing is one of the number 1 pain points that I get from aspiring entrepreneurs who are just in the beginning phases of starting their business. Guess what? It's also the number 1 pain point that I get from growing entrepreneurs who've already had a business, it's generating some type of revenue, and they want to get to the 6 or 7 figure mark. It's always marketing. And the bottom line is, when you're first starting out, you are your marketing. Are you comfortable with your brand? And are you comfortable with selling? Okay. I talk to people all the time who are entrepreneurs, and then I say, all right, so how are you going to sell that? And they're like, oh, I don't like to sell. I'm not a salesperson. I don't really do sales. What are you talking about? Of course you do sales. Who's going to sell your business for you? Who's going to sell your product? So you need to banish the thought and get it out of your mind that you are not about to be a salesperson, because you are about to be a salesperson. That means that you are going solo on that marketing effort. You are going to be the face of your business. You are going to be the one delivering the product or the service as well. So you've got to get good at and comfortable realizing that it's all going to be on you and that you are responsible for generating the revenue and delivering the service until you get your business built up enough to begin to add a team. And trust me, I've had teams that range from 10 employees all the way up to 65 employees. And there wasn't a day during any of those times that I still wasn't selling always. So everybody knows that the saying, always be selling. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Always be selling, and get your mind wrapped around the fact that you're comfortable in that space before you jump ship. And that brings me to question number 4. And this is a biggie. This is actually going to help you determine your risk tolerance. And it's a question that everybody needs to be able to answer yes. Have you really dug deep into your finances, personal and business, and determined how much money you need to make every single month in order to jump ship? Do you know what that number is? If you know, that's half the battle, because then you can begin to develop a strategy on how you can generate enough revenue in your business in order to be able to pay yourself that much money. And I say this in so many of my videos, and I need to say it again. There is a big difference between revenue and compensation. 100% of your business revenue is not your compensation. So if you don't know that you need $2,500 a month in order to live and pay your bills, and another $1,000 a month to run your business and market and all that kind of stuff, then you're not going to be able to say, I need to make sure that I'm generating $3,500 a month in revenue in order to really be able to jump ship. You have to know those numbers. And you really need to have a conversation with your significant other, if you've got one, and your family around what that's going to look like. Because that's important. If you don't have the people around you support in helping you grow this business, you are going to fail immediately. I say it all the time, and I've actually done a whole nother video on how to get your family and your spouse and your parents or whomever on board with your entrepreneurial journey. I will link to that video somewhere up here because I really do talk about some of the strategies that I used, but I had to have that conversation with my husband. I am very blessed and lucky that he has been 100% supportive and almost a cheerleader pushing me in the direction of entrepreneurship since the very beginning. And when I quit my job, and I'll tell you guys that story a whole nother time, how that kind of whole thing rolled out. When I quit my job, I was terrified to go home and tell him that I had actually done it. Even though we had talked about it before, I was absolutely freaking out. And I can tell you from experience that I had not been able to answer all of these questions that we're going over, yes, at the time. And that's why I'm sharing it with you, because I couldn't answer the questions. So when I started my business, the first 6 months to 12 months was absolute hell. It was absolute hell. If you're on my mailing list, you know that story. So go back to that video that I actually shot you about my story. But if you're not on my mailing list, get on it so you can find out what the details are of that story. But anyway, and you can get on it by downloading the workbook. As soon as you download your workbook, you're going to automatically be added to the CP Weekly Love email list. But anyway, I wanted to make sure that I understood how much money I needed, and I didn't do a good job at doing that. And so you have to be able to answer that question, yes. You have to have a plan and a strategy. If you don't, then it's not time to jump ship just yet. Stay where you are, stay in your job, continue to utilize your current job to grow yourself and grow your skill set, which I have a whole nother video on, and I'll link to that as well up here in the cards. And stay where you are before you jump ship, right? You're not ready. You can't answer that question, yes. So it's not time to take your side hustle to the next level. All right, people, do not forget to subscribe if you have loved what I talked to you about today or even liked it just a little bit. Make sure you subscribe. I've got big goals in 2020. I've got to get to 50,000 subscribers. Help me get there. If you love this input and this content, please make sure you subscribe, like, share. Do not forget to go down and get your workbook. That is going to be so important. And if you have some time this weekend, I would say use your workbook and really think through these questions. If you're serious about getting to that next level with your side hustle and ultimately quitting that job, this is going to be an amazing, worthwhile exercise for you to embark upon. Until next time, my loves, I will see you very shortly. Mwah!